Hey there, long time no vlog, and we have an interesting subject that I want to discuss today that I had an interesting discussion with a friend of mine, and I also see this being talked about quite a lot, especially as I am a developer myself. And this is about the Steam Direct replacing Steam Greenlight and the fee, and what they're actually, the fee which is only $100, and what they're actually doing with this. So in case you're completely unfamiliar with it, which is really strange if you're here and you're unfamiliar with it, but I'll recap anyways. Steam, because games, Steam has games on it. In order to get your games on it, you used to have to go through Greenlight, which is kind of a crappy system for many reasons, which we're not going to discuss right now. But it's a crappy system, and they're changing it, and they're calling it Steam Direct. And the point was that it's going to be much more, what's the word I'm looking for? Direct, but they're also going to have some kind of fee in order to get in there. And the question was, what was this fee going to be? Alongside this, there was also a change in the approach, and that's another thing that I want to talk about. But first, let's again, finish explaining the subject. The fee was anywhere between, they said, 100 and 5,000 per game that you want to put on. So first of all, they have to know who you are as a developer. You have to put in, there's standard bureaucracy that comes in, but then there's a paywall. And that paywall, the debate here is if it's very high, if it's 5,000, then you're gating a lot of people that would otherwise want to be on the store and have interesting games and interesting content for the store, but they can't pay $5,000, which is quite a lot of money. Then the counter argument to that is that it's an investment, and if you've made a good game and you're going to make more than $5,000, then it's going to be okay. On the other side, and the positive here, before we get to the other side, the positive here is that would actually prevent people from putting on crap on the store, which is what's happening with Steam Greenlight. The other way is to going with a lower thing, which is $100, and then, it is much easier for anyone to go on for good and bad. And that's really where we're questioning this. And I've been seeing quite a lot, oh my god, no, it's not Steam Store anymore, it's the Steam pile of shit. It's the App Store, it's the same as the mobile stores, and the fact that they decide that it is going to be 100 is a bad thing. And I disagree for several reasons that I will now explain as best I can and as shortly as possible, because I don't want to talk about this for 20 minutes. So the point is, I don't see Steam as a store anymore, and I don't think that it has the ability to be a store, because once you're a store, you have to curate is the word that I'm looking for. Curate what you show to the public. And this is very easy to do when you're a store, when you're an actual store for a physical storefront. But as you are with digital, there is so much more content, and it becomes impossible to curate the store. Now, for most things, if you think about a traditional store, let's talk about a supermarket that sells you food. It is relatively easy to see the quality of the food and what people buy and what people don't buy. And it's relatively easy to assess the quality of a given thing because usually they're a simple thing. But a game is a much more complex thing. And on top of that, you will never know what people like and what people don't. What I consider quality might be complete shit for you and vice versa. So it is literally impossible to just have someone curate, because that someone will always going to be biased in one sense or another. It is very important to have at least some kind of bureaucratical gateway, some kind of paywall, if you will, before letting just anyone put something on the store. But in my opinion, the amount does not matter. And the reason for that is because it's not about the game, it's not about the content, it's about the developer. And if you have a developer that would put shit, terrible crap games, asset flips, games that are from Unity Asset Store, just things that people just want to put on just to make a quick buck, or utilize the Steam systems in order to make money in some kind of way, it really does not matter what the paywall is. Okay, if somebody believes that their game is worthwhile, there's people who are just trying to cheat the system, but there's people who actually believe that their crap is good. It is not about the game and its quality. The person believes that it's good. If they're willing to pay $100, they're willing to pay $5,000. And the negative here is that you will be gating people that actually has good games if you make it really, really high amount of money. It's not about the game's quality. It's about the developer being willing to pay whatever because they believe it's good. And when you look at that way, You don't want to gate anyone. You never ever want to gate anyone, even when there's something that I believe is crap, but you will believe it's good, because it's so diverse. For example, Steam has said themselves that so many different genres that they never thought of, such as visual novels, which is very, very niche, are doing incredibly well in building a community on Steam. That would not be there without stuff like Greenlight, without allowing literally everyone instead of, just instead of curating it by Steam themselves, by Valve themselves. And that's why this is actually quite important. The other shift that you have to do here is that Valve, again, is not a store because you cannot possibly curate it. And you shift from being a store to being a content delivery network. This is the way that I see this. Steam is a content delivery network. There's a ton of content. There's more content than you could possibly comprehend. And you can think about that. It's very different, but you can think about this. A small comparison is to eBay and Amazon, for example, because there's so much content. What they're delivering to you is the ability to sell you something. But in Steam, it's kind of the same. Instead of buying an item, you're buying a game. But in the sense of the way that the store works, it is a content delivery network. They can't curate things for you in such a way that a normal store does. They cannot tell you this game is good, this game is bad. They cannot do that. The persons that can do that is people who like that kind of thing. And that is exactly the shift that they're doing, which is exactly very, very clever and very, very smart, in my opinion. They're shifting towards, we're not going to show you good games. We're going to ask you what you like, and we're going to allow you to find those things in a simpler way, which is why they're empowering curators. They're empowering the tag systems and all the systems that allow you to basically find your queue, all the systems that allow you to find games that you like. Obviously, you're going to have input. You cannot be super lazy. In the same sense that if you want to go and find a chair on Amazon, you're going to have to write chair or on eBay. You're going to have to write chair and then it's going to show you chairs. In the same way, I really only like RPGs, but I want them to just know and show me RPGs. No, write down that you like RPGs. And the more specific you'll be, the better. If you'll say RPGs that are strictly fantasy and no sci-fi, then it'll only show you RPGs that are fantasy, not sci-fi. There's a huge, 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 huge selection. So how do you... Even through that filter, there's going to have to be filters. Through that filter, there's going to be a huge selection, an infinite selection, and that is a good thing. So how do you know what's good and what's bad? Other people. And that's exactly it. Curators. This guy is the RPG guy. He likes only fantasy RPGs, and he curates and he talks about why this game is good and why this game is bad. Reviews. People review, thumbing up and thumbing down, and that's how you can know that something is good. By empowering everything around the game itself, allowing you to look for what you like, you can find the things that are good for you. And there's going to be infinite things. There's going to be a lot of crap. But empowering these systems will allow that crap to sink down to the bottom and you will never see it. And you always have access to it if you want to. And some people want to for some reason. But you won't see it because you will see the good stuff. You will be able to tell that this is a 1-star and this is a 5-star. When you look for something on eBay or on Amazon, the first things you're going to see is 5 stars with tons of reviews, with tons of people who bought it because it's good. It's a top seller. The reason it's a top seller is because it's actually good and people bought it. And if you're looking for that specific thing, that's what you're going to see. And that's what Steam is becoming. It's not a store, it's a content delivery network. And the shift is smart and clever. And as a developer myself, especially one that is working on personal projects alone or with very few people, also in a company with other people, which is great, but also alone, eventually I'll probably want to put myself up on Steam. If it was $5,000, that would be a really major investment for me. $100, something that I can much, 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 much more easily stomach. And considering today you don't actually put a game out and then you're done. You put a game out and you support it for a long amount of time, and you sometimes do it in beta or in alpha. Early access exists today, which allows you to build a community even before you actually release the game. So I'm not going to get any revenue because it's an open beta or closed, or maybe I am going to get revenue even early before the game is actually completed, but allowing you to start building a community really, really early. And on top of all of that, it is recoupable, which is really nice. If the game actually makes revenue, it is recoupable, which is kind of cool and kind of nice. I didn't touch about that subject, but I think it's also a very, very good thing. So that's my opinion on it. it's totally fine that it's only $100. I think that it needs to be an amount of money, but it should be the lowest possible, and $100 sounds just about right to me. And that's it. That's my opinion on those things. When I have a strong opinion about something and that I enjoy talking about, then we talk about it. Vlogs. Other than that, yeah, it's been really, really tough to work on a million things, and there's no videos in the pipeline, honestly. There was one, and then it didn't really happen. I'm going to try and make it somehow, maybe, but that's about it. For me, follow me around. Thank you so much for watching this. Hopefully this was interesting. I would love to hear your opinion in the comments, or, not. And that's it. Thanks. See you next time.